It's like, fucking talking about freakers and all sorts of crazy nonsense. It's
I mean,
wild.
nothing. Do you? So you got younger kids. Do you
I do.
listen to Caspar Baby Pants at all?
They listen to my music. I don't listen to their music.
Oh no. Okay, so Caspar Baby Pants. If I've never told you, it's the front man for what's this called? He's the front man for President of the United States of America,
Okay.
and he has a project. He's done like I think like 23 albums of children's music.
Really?
Yes,
That's sad.
but the beauty of it is that like
It's
it
all.
makes total sense because nothing's really all that different from the old music he used to do. Basically, it's like all that old music he used to do, just without the distortion.
All right.
Like literally, literally, that's the difference.
I'll just check that out. Check that
Like
out.
he's got some, he's got some like songs like, was it Stump Hotel, where you got the bugs living in there eating the stump. He's got
That's
my
awesome.
my flea has dogs. Like just the kind of songs you would imagine that dude would write.
Yeah.
It's pretty fun.
That's like is it There Might Be Giants. They have like a ton of like
They've done a lot of work over the
children's
years.
stuff, and it's like sometimes you listen to it, you don't know, and then you're like, wait a minute, this is a kid song. I got to turn this off now. Like
D is for drum. Okay, so we got that there. Let's see, I'm trying to do a few of the little share things.
yeah.
Share to a group.
You message. Well, let me see if I can find it. If I can find it, I'll throw it out on the Twitterverse and.
Should I share it in the free market environmentalism group?
I don't care if you want to.
I always do if I can.
Why not? How do you share?
All right, I want
Copy
to
link. I go put it in some discords.
start a watch party.
Gertrude the groupie.
She's got her little whistling Dixies.
So,
An admin approved our post.
not me.
Well, I'll take your worms for it. Well, how do I get to my fucking watch party? Like, that's the shit about this. Like, how do I get there?
Oh, man.
All right. Let me go see if I can find. I'm just going to try and find this shit. Okay. It's like it didn't let me start the watch party.
It says we're live.
No, we're definitely live. I just want to. Okay. All right, let's see here. Go to my. See if I can find it on my page. Yeah, I am hosting a watch party and it didn't let me in. Like, it's the wild stuff here. Okay, cool. I think we're all set up. Did you want in the watch party?
I don't know if I am. I don't want in it. I don't want nothing to do with that.
Okay, whatever. All right.
Put it out there.
Do 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 do. All right. So you where you at? What are you thinking?
I'm thinking anything, man.
Okay. About ready? So
Shared it around some.
okay, good. All right, folks. Well, welcome to episode number 45 of Free Market's Green Earth. I am here, as always, with Ben the Liberty Hippie. How are you doing there, Ben?
Oh, I'm doing. How you guys doing?
You're throwing your camera all over
I'm
the
throwing my
place.
camera all over the place, man. You see my storage box of diapers. Let's see where does this take us? Excellent
Nice.
podcast material. I'm doing well. I'm hanging in there. It got hot down here today. First day. I'm not sure if it actually hit 90, but it was close. It was close. So AC.
Every part of that sounds terrible.
It's one of those things, it is what it is. I prefer it to 50 degrees right now. That's my
Personally, I like the 50 degrees, but to each their own.
Hey,
So we were gonna have a guest on today that fell through, but we were talking and I decided that you actually have a bit of expertise of your own that I'm kind of curious in. And I know it's dangerous when I say Ben has expertise of his own.
It might be a bit of a stretch, but I'll try.
But you kind of brought it up yourself because you were talking about seeds. And I'm very new to the whole seeds idea. In my world, seeds are just things that you go up and buy every year at some grocery store. And that's all seeds are.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's kind of like the worst way to deal with seeds. And
Yeah.
And I feel like you have more of an understanding of the way that kind of you have more of an understanding of like the full process and more of the culture that surrounds seeds, because there is definitely a culture around seeds. I know a podcast I was listening to last week was actually doing like a seed giveaway for his podcast, just mail seeds and kind of we'll get you some stuff. So why don't you tell me, start with the beginning, what the hell is the whole seeds thing?
I mean, honestly, if you're new to gardening and everything else, for the price, you can't beat going to like your Home Depot or your Lowe's or your grocery store and just picking up some seeds that you're going to put in the ground. If that's all you're going to do, that's all well and good. But I think there's a couple issues with that, and I think we're seeing one of those right now. If you go try to find seeds some places, they're not there, or they're low on stock, and that's even online. You go to some places that that's their specialty. They just sell seeds. They don't have some things. A lot of things.
When the very first inklings of like shutdowns happened, one of the first things Liz wanted to do was she went going through the catalogs looking for stuff and started calling people. And we're talking, this is 2 months ago now for us.
Yeah.
And nope, we're sold out. Where we got wait times of a couple months on these.
Yeah. And when you're trying to put plants in the ground, a couple months ain't gonna cut it.
Yeah.
It's
exactly.
And it is. It's
and I suspect honestly that they were probably, the 2 weeks that they quoted her was probably going to be a couple months when it's all said and done, because I'm sure that's the salesman trying to make the sale, knowing full well that the product's not going to be there. And yeah, maybe they'll have some orders get canceled, but if they can get more of them on the books, they'll have more money coming in to weather whatever's coming down the pipe.
Yeah. And seeds are one of those things where like they're dumping milk, right? They're dumping milk. And okay, so they're dumping milk. That's a loss of supply for today. I'm going to milk that cow again tomorrow, and I will get milk from that cow. So the delay is not huge, right? 24 hours maybe. They're smashing chicken eggs, right? They euthanized a bunch of chickens. How long does it take for a chicken to get to egg laying maturity? 4, 5, 6 months, right?
You know better than I do.
So you have that delay, right? That delay, like 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, whatever it is. With seeds, you're not going to get seeds. If you run out of seeds, then you need to wait. Like it takes your seed crop is what you harvested last year. And when that runs out, that's out for the year. You're not going to replenish that until the next growing season is done. And so that's, one of these things that's kind of popping up. It's like, hey, if you don't have seeds, I don't know where they're coming from, especially some of these places that have varieties that are a little more obscure. You want to grow field corn, whatever, go ahead. It's everywhere, but some of the more specific types of stuff are going to be harder.
Well, and that's one of the things that, to my understanding of it, is you're going to get a wider variety of seeds available, and you're going to find things that work better in different climates. Like you can specialize what you're growing a lot better when you're dealing with people that have, say, handle their own seed harvesting, as opposed to just going and buying the absolute generic broccoli. Right. Now, how many different types of broccoli are there? Technically, cabbage is broccoli.
Part of it. I mean, the brassicas are huge. Like all that, your cabbage, your cauliflower, your broccoli, your kale. I mean, just like all that leafy, cold weather greens.
You just said leafy, and broccoli's not leafy.
Sure it is. You eat those leaves, man. They're delicious. They taste just like broccoli. But it is, and that's something that. So if you're starting, like, you want to put a garden in, seeds from Home Depot and stuff, like, they're not the best, but it's going to do what it's going to do, and like that's a great start. But like once you get into it a little bit, it's amazing, like the different varieties that are out there. When you go look on the shelf, even from some of the more like your organic types, your the kitschy types there, your seeds of change, or they have a couple different varieties and they're different colors, and they look all fancy, and they're $3 for a pack of seeds. And but even then, they only throw a couple varieties out there. When you dig into it, there are so many different varieties of whatever it is you want to grow, whether it's cabbage, broccoli, cauliflower, corn, squash. I mean, there's a million varieties of squash, or beans, like there's just the varieties are endless. And
I mean, they're all basically the same, right?
Well, and that's the beauty of it. They're not, like they're not at all. And I think, because one of the things that, like, I think kind of kicked me a little bit when I was learning about all this stuff, and it was like, holy crap, no way. Back in the 70s, the like monoculture had spread through corn like crazy. We grew like one type of corn, and that was it. And there was some sort of blight or a rust or something that went through it and just annihilated the corn right and left. And like there was sincere concern that corn was going to go extinct. Like this was just, there was no way for corn that, like, it was just all susceptible to this disease. And they looked around, some scientists looked around, whatever, and finally they found something in some mountains in Mexico, because corn is basically like a grass. They found something in Mexico that was like a wild corn or whatever, and they introduced that into what they were growing, and that had the genetics in it that it was immune to this disease. And so that was basically kind of how it, I don't want to say saved corn, but really
changed
kept it
to
around.
A different monoculture.
Yeah, right. But you have the idea when you you look at the potato famine, right? When you grow one type of thing and it's the same variety over and over, you're gonna have problems with it. You look at anything like that, different genetics is always good. And when you start, I don't know.
It's why the British family, or the English monarchy, should be terrified right now with the coup, because like those genetics have kind of stayed there, right? They ain't branched out much.
If they're immune to the coup, then they might be pretty happy. But if not, they're
so
does pedophilia run in the blood? I don't know.
Oh, good Lord. We'll have to cut that part out. We're not cutting it out. So now there's always the big thing. Like, I know Monsanto and like their the way that they handle seeds and the intellectual property surrounding seeds has kind of been a big deal. But is that a world that you've had to mess around with? Because you've got like a homestead. You're not going out and just buying like bulk Monsanto seeds for your 2,000 acre farm, right?
No, I'm not. And you know, that one's
Is that like a problem of scale kind of situation?
I don't know. I remember reading in college and stuff and hearing about farmers that were tracked down by Monsanto for basically like coerced out of their homes and stuff and just faced with all sorts of legal fees. And then I think I heard something not too far back ago that said like basically that was all kind of, I don't want to say fabricated, but it wasn't necessarily true to what actually happened. It was a little bit of a of spin by sort of leftist
Mm-hmm.
environmentalism. Um, but it is something, right? When you have corn, right, all this like GMO corn that gets planted, and it's, I mean, corn pollen is super light, and it will travel like 10 miles. You know, like give it a light breeze, and if you got corn within a quarter mile, you got to worry about, you know,
Crossbreeding.
covering your tassels and cutting your tassels and covering your ear silk, and you know, so yeah, that's an issue, you know, and it gets down to that sort of thing. I think Joel Salatin said it right. If my bull comes in your field and gets a bunch of your cows pregnant, and I got this, you know, scraggly old bull that doesn't know what he wants its babies, that's my problem, and I need to deal with it. And the way that the seed world is set up, the way that agriculture is set up, is that's not that way, right? If your corn comes and pollinates my corn, and I happen to save my seeds, and I get some of that genetics, now it's my problem, which is really kind of a interesting comparison way to look at it. Kind of, you know, why don't we consider things that way? But I've not had to deal with that, mostly because I don't have that scale.
Yeah, you're not buying just giant bags, like 100-pound bags of seed and stuff like
And I
that.
think a lot of it comes down to, um, you know, the type of farming that we do, and when you have thousands of acres of one crop, weeding things sucks, you know. And the easiest way to take care of weeds is to just dump chemicals on them. And why
Hmm.
not if you have a seed that will work? And it's one of those things. I talked to a couple of people, um, and you know, they all enter into this sort of voluntarily, right? But it is with a lack of knowledge, and whether the fertilizer salesman or the pesticide salesman knows, you know, what they're selling, what they're doing, um, I'm not sure. But it always happens that they kind of come and say, you know, look, I got this thing that will, instead of getting, you know, 10 bushels from this 1 acre, you'll get 20 bushels. Well, of course you're going to buy that. It's cheap. It costs nothing. You know, it's whatever. Okay, let's go. Um, and it just, but you know, it's this escalating thing, right? You put all the fertilizer in, and then, you know, the fertilizer is just so hot it burns everything and kills everything in it. And then, you know, you get into your weeds are coming up because they love crappy soil. You know, and so then you got to come up with something to take care of the weeds, and so you dump pesticides on that. Well, you know, we all know that you kill one weed, and you know, maybe one survives, and
Now you got
eventually
stronger
they
weeds,
right, they build up that immunity, and you got to come up with a stronger pesticide. And
which is
you
a
know,
good illustration of exactly why people like, and this is something that's gone on forever, is keeping seeds, because you don't go out there and find the skinniest, crappiest plant you've got
mhm,
to collect seeds on. You go out and you find the strongest, hardiest plant you've got, the one that did the best in your environment, the one that has the most going for it, and you kind of sacrifice some of your best crop,
yeah,
and it's so that you get to have that again is the idea, right?
right, yeah. And that's what's so great about saving your own seeds, being able to save your own stuff. You can actually select those things, whether it's, you know, hey, look, I can with really short cans, so I want a shorter bean, so I'm going to save seeds from my bean plants that all had shorter beans, or whatever it is, right? I had a really awful hot summer, and this one plant did really well, so maybe that's a really good, you know, I'll start saving that, and for drought or whatever, you know, like different things work for different people. And that's why buying seeds, you know, search around, you know, use your search there, and figure out where to go. I know like High Mowing Seeds is up in Vermont, and you know there's a couple down here in the south that I'm not so sure about, but they're everywhere, right? And when they source their seed from like your climate, those seeds, those genetics, even if it's the same variety as something grown in Vermont, um, those genetics are going to be better suited to grow in your specific environment, in your conditions. And so when you save your own seeds, that's what you're doing, that's what you're getting. And it's I don't know.
I mean, when you do it yourself, like you're literally choosing the one that has proven itself in your dirt.
Yeah.
That's stuff that you have in your backyard, whichever one grows the best in that dirt, that's the one that you're keeping.
Yeah. Yep. And it's, you know, and some things are very easy to do that with, you know. Tomatoes are all self-pollinated, right? It's all the parts are in one flower, and the wind knocks pollen around, and your seeds are going to be what's there. Same with like beans, right? Um, and so you know you save your seeds that way. Corn, you know, you need to have like I don't know what, I think it's like 100 plants. You got to have like 100 plants. You're supposed to save seed from like 10 different ears to keep the genetic diversity up. And that's, for some people that can be a lot, right? That's a lot of space. That's a lot of seed to save. I mean, 10 ears, it's a lot of ears, or 10. Yeah. You know, it's a lot of kernels. You know, so you got to weigh things, right? Like, your brassicas and stuff, are they're harder to do, you know? So maybe that's something that you buy seeds from, or you figure out how to procure some seeds that are local. I
Mm-hmm.
mentioned, talked to you earlier, there's something called, I got seeds out of them like 10 years ago. And 10 years ago, it was they call it the Seed Savers Yearbook. And it was kind of this, it's facilitated by seedsavers.com. I think it's their kind of side project. Um, but it's basically, it's like a listing of people that want to be listed that have seeds that they're willing to sell. And this book it's not a book anymore now, it's all online, but you had to pay like $10 a year or something to get in, and then you had this listing of all these people broken down geographically, broken down by variety, um, and you could order seeds from them. You know, you can, and now it's all online. You don't have to pay for the year, but the subscription, it's free. You go, it's exchange.seedsavers.org. Um, but you can find people like I when I was down in Georgia and we bought some tomato seeds, got them from like 3 different people that were all within like 2 or 3 hours of where we were, you know. And I'm not going to run out of seeds. Like, you know, if
So this is like a decentralized thing. Like it's you're actually going to the people doing the growing.
yeah, yeah, it's pretty decentralized. I mean, there's, you know, the one node that kind of facilitates it all. It's not, you know, but yeah, it's pretty much decentralized
Is
in
if
that sense.
you haven't found like a lot of scammers and stuff like that, have you? Or is it pretty well policed?
I mean, I've only used it a couple times and I didn't have any problems. And I don't think you would get that type of people would not really get involved. And I think, um, if that type of people did get involved, I think there would be lots of ostracization of that, you know, like posting on boards and everything else and complaining and saying, hey, you know, don't get things from this guy because he didn't do anything.
Yeah.
But you know, it's an amazing thing. It's an amazing resource. I just like going through it just to see what exists. I mean, it's mind blowing to think that there are so many different types of dry beans out there. Just dry beans, you know, like you see 5, 10, not even 10. You see 5, 6, 7 types of dry beans in the grocery store. And I mean, it's like 3-4 pages worth of listings of dry beans, you know. um it's just one of those things. It's I tell you, there's no feeling better than just like running your hand through like bags of seeds, and just there's something about it. It's a beautiful thing, beautiful thing.
Right on. So what is like the harvesting a difficult project, or is that pretty self-explanatory?
I mean, it depends on the plant, right? It depends on what you're going after. Sweet corn. So some things, right? Like your winter squash, you harvest your winter squash when the vine dies back. You know what that squash tastes like after you eat it. If it tasted really good, save your seeds. If it tasted like crap, eat the seeds. Um, and you have that luxury. You can figure that out. Something like sweet corn, if you wait until the seeds are mature, they're gross. They're starchy. They taste nasty. It's no good. So, it's kind of a guess. You have to kind of pick your stuff and let it mature. Same with like cucumbers, right? You pick your cucumbers um, when they're sort of immature. If you wait till they get mature, they get bitter and nasty, and they're no good.
Okay, so I'm a little confused on that. So what do you mean you have to actually?
So some plants, when you harvest them, when the fruit is ready, the seeds are mature. Sometimes when the seeds get mature, the fruit is beyond what we perceive as edible.
Okay,
So,
I'm still.
okay.
Okay, so you're saying like the seeds are ready at a different time than the fruit, like when we would eat it. It's like you.
Sometimes, yes, depending on the plant, right? So like you go when you cut into a zucchini, all right?
Mm-hmm.
What's on the inside?
Yeah, there's lots and lots of seeds there.
There's some seeds. If you wait, usually it's you want the flesh, right? That's what you're gonna eat. You're eating the flesh.
Mm-hmm.
And you pick one they're young. If you wait, a zucchini, the summer squash, um, they'll get massive. They get really big. When you want to save their seeds, they get really big, and the rind on it on the outside will actually get hard, um,
Mm-hmm.
to the point where you can't penetrate it with a thumbnail, and that's when the seeds are ready. So if I waited for zucchini seeds to be mature, I wouldn't want to eat it anymore because the flesh is beyond. It's gone too long.
Yeah.
And it's the same with like your cabbage or some of your brassicas, because they have to bolt, right?
So the idea is that like you kind of have to leave a couple on there in the harvest to be prepared for seeding, just in case like the stuff is good, or if it tastes like crappy, don't bother, just eat the plant.
Yeah, yeah. And with some, because like some things, so like your zucchini, stuff like that, you gotta. It's like spinach. You can harvest some spinach leaves, but if you harvest too many spinach leaves, you're going to take that energy from the plant, and the seed crop is going to be, um, I don't know, less less viable, less
Okay.
it's not going to be as good. Same with kind of like your zucchini and stuff. Like, if you want to save something, go for it, but usually you don't save them from like the tail end of the season. It's going to be one that you kind of pick in the beginning of the season, and kind of save that, because that's when the plant has all its energy and all its good stuff going on.
Okay, so you're saying like basically you save them when it's good, don't wait.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like think about broccoli.
So like when you have a kid at 60, it's not gonna probably turn out well. It's probably gonna have Down syndrome. Versus, when you're
Yes,
19, you have the best chances of having a worthwhile child.
that's a good analogy. Yes.
Okay, my parents fucked up and they had me instead, so
You
there's
think about
that.
think about broccoli, right? When you eat broccoli, what are you eating?
I'm gonna be honest, I don't really know.
Those are flower buds.
Okay.
Those are little tiny flower buds. So when you want broccoli seeds, you got to wait. and they get all long and scraggly, and they break out and they shoot up and they turn into these little yellow flowers. You can't eat that. It's not broccoli anymore. But that's what you got to do to save seed. So, you know, you might be able to pick something off the side and try it and see if it's good. But at the same time, it's broccoli. It's going to taste fine, you know? But so, and there's some that are really easy, you know, like your
I'm gonna
beans and your tomatoes and stuff.
I'm
But
gonna have to go and find like a resource that like explains all of this, because I mean it's seeming like it's kind of very very hodgepodge as to when you take seeds off of everything. Like
it
it's not seeming self-explanatory to me. We'll just say that.
it depends on the species. A lot of times it depends on the genus,
Okay.
and it will, you know, um, Seed to Seed is a good book. Suzanne Ashworth, that was something that kind of got me going in the beginning. And there's a lot of resources out there now that have been developed beyond that. But you know, yeah, there's no like one way to do it. Start with something, you know, kind of easier, like your beans and your tomatoes. And there is a little bit of vocabulary that goes with it. You know, you need to know, like, you know, some of your stuff. Most of the time, when you're saving seeds, they're these sort of heirloom varieties. They're open pollinated. It means their parents are both the same variety, right? They're not hybrids. If you try to save seed from the hybrid of a plant, which is a lot of the time is what you are buying when you get stuff from the store. It usually is a hybrid. There's no telling what the children will look like. That first generation, the F1 generation, it's all uniform. But after that, the genetics split up, and there's no telling what's going to come out of it. Um, and so that's something else that kind of
So I'm
goes
not
in.
getting bananas though, right? Like I'm not putting broccoli in the ground and getting bananas out of it. I'm just gonna get a different kind of broccoli.
If you could, well, but see, but you can't,
Or
you
am I
can't.
gonna or am I gonna put broccoli in the ground? Am I gonna get cabbage?
No, but there's no, like, see, corn or corn is one that's usually like that, or squash, or if you went to the store and you bought a red pepper, right? Because green peppers are just non-ripe peppers. If you bought a pepper and you put the seeds in the ground and you grew them, there's no telling what could come up. You don't know what pollinated that pepper. You don't know if that pepper got pollinated by the same variety or if it's just a hybrid that's gonna put out a bunch of stuff. There's no way of telling. So some of the things you do have to be, if you're gonna save stuff, you got to be a little cautious about. But
Interesting.
it's not that, it really, honestly, it's like, it's not that bad. It's not that hard. It's well worth learning a few things, and like getting started is easy. You know, you just, if you're growing beans, let your beans dry on the plant. Shell those beans, plant them next year.
Mm-hmm.
It's that simple, right? Same with tomatoes. You got a tomato you really like, dry the seeds out and let them go. You know, and you're good. You're all set. You know, tomatoes are a little tricky, well, but not tricky, but they have. So some things like cucumbers and tomatoes, seeds have a coating on them that makes them less. It prevents germination, and it basically, I think, kind of is meant to kill off weed seeds around it and give the seed time to germinate. But you can get rid of that by basically fermenting them, letting it kind of rot. Um, so you know, but you can pull tomato seeds out and plant them the next year, and they work. And it's one of those. It's worth it. Do it and try it. You know.
Right on, man. Well, I can say that it's been very educational to me, and it's been something I've been curious about because, like I said, it seems like it's going to become way more important to be able to grow your own food, and this does seem like
It
something that
is.
you need to at least be marginally aware of because it's, you know,
It's
it's
one of
a
those.
big thing.
It is, and it's one of those fields where uh, basic knowledge, a minimal amount of knowledge, can go a very long way. Just knowing the
What I mean, it
different.
seems like you've got so many resources that you can kind of pull off of for it.
Mhm. Yeah, you definitely can. There is stuff out there, and there's local things out there, that aren't up to date on the internet and out there. All this stuff is out there. You just gotta find it a little bit, but definitely
So,
worth looking into.
well, right on. Well, we're gonna call it there. Keep a nice little short episode this week. No guest,
You sick
but
of my rambling, huh?
not at all, not at all. Um, it just it was important information to me, and it's not something I think people think about all that often. You just think about going to the big box store, grabbing the plants, and then throwing them in the ground. Most
Mhm.
people don't worry about that first step, and that first step kind of starts way before you think it does because it actually starts the year before.
Yeah,
And so it was, interesting to me.
yeah, it does. It does. Yeah, there's a lot there, and I mean, there's places, there's places up in, I think it's Svalbard, wherever that, I don't know if that's Norway or Denmark or something like that up there in Scandinavia, but
Hmm.
these massive seed banks, that's actually what they do. They store some seeds of as many varieties as they can. So if there is some sort of problem, you know, um, there's something for humanity to turn to or something like that. I don't know.
Nice. So, all right, folks. Well, this has been episode 45 of Free Markets Green Earth. Go check out freemarketsgreenearth.com to learn more. Check out the show notes. This one's going to have a bunch of links for it because Ben gave me stuff that you can actually go and find seed yourself if it's something that interests you. But otherwise, y'all have a good one.
Peace.